everyone? Thank you for tuning in. I am Jay Lee. This is Jay Lee's Corner, and this is my review for Power Season 4, Episode 8. Now, as some of you may know, the episodes of Power of 8, 9, and 10, those episodes leaked online. But me, I didn't watch them. Solely because it wasn't like a good leak. It was like a bootleg-ass, fake-ass cell phone recorder off of something else. I don't like watching bootleg stuff. I'm not even a bootleg watch a movie. I'm not a bootleg music person. I need to watch stuff with a clear dang on picture. Plus, I wear glasses. I can't be trying to strain my eyes to see shit. So, I'm just not watching episode 8. Have not seen episode 9 and 10. So, hopefully you guys will watch this review because you also did not watch the leaked version, because the leaked version was some bullshit. But first things first, if you have not done so already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel. It does not cost you anything. It just lets you... Oh, I wasted water on my shirt. It does not cost you anything. It lets you know when I have new content available, new content on my channel, and new reviews uploaded. So please subscribe. If you have not done so, you can also share my videos on your social media. You can also like my videos. Please like. And there's a comment section below that you can always put your comments in. And all comments are welcome. Unless there's some rude bullshit, keep those to yourself. Meaning, please be respectful to me and anyone else making comments. So, yeah, as I said, hopefully y'all did not, or if y'all did see the leaked episodes, y'all still watch my review. I won't be looking for the leaked episodes for 9 or 10 because I just didn't want to see. I didn't want to have to be on Facebook, on my cell phone, or on my computer or whatever, looking at some shoddy ass cell phone recorded stuff. So, that's just not what I like. I like Power. I prefer to watch Power clearly, and that's just my preference. So, episode 8 started off, was titled "It's Done," and the episode starts with Silver waking up to his phone ringing, and as we know, Tasha and Silver slept together on the end of the last episode. And he wakes up and we see that Tasha's left him a note saying how she had fun. First of all, if you cheat on your husband, you don't leave the man you cheated with a note with your name on talking about how you had fun. That's evidence, boo-boo. You don't do that. So that's mistake number 1. So he's waking up and his phone is ringing, so he gets up and he don't like some thong type underwear. I'm looking like you couldn't have on no boxers, some briefs with them little. I was like, is them swim trunks? Is them Speedos? Silver. Poor little Silver. So we see the person who was calling him. It was actually Ghost, because Ghost is at his apartment. And he's like, hey, what are you doing here? He's like, you're alone? He's like, well, I'm not anymore. Meaning he wasn't when Tasha left, and he's not alone anymore either, because now Ghost is there. And he's like, what's up? What is it that I couldn't wait to, later for you to see me at my office? And Ghost is like, when was the last time you spoke to Proctor? And he's like, I don't know, maybe a week ago. And Ghost is just saying, he's like, why, what's up? And Ghost is like, well, I'm just trying to make sure that he's not involved in any kind of, any kind of criminal investigation, brain fart. Any kind of criminal investigation, that could point to us. And then Silver's like, no, I haven't heard anything, but I'm sure if there was any kind of investigation, I would know. And he's like, do you want me to check into it? Ghost's like, no, I'm just trying to be sure that we're okay. And he's like, no, we're fine and whatnot. So, because I would have heard something. He's like, oh, so is that it? So Ghost is like, yeah, that's it. So he's like, okay. And he kind of, leads Ghost out of the, towards the door. And Ghost is like, I didn't know that you had a woman or a lady friend. And Ghost bends over. Well, yeah, he bends over and picks up an earring that's on the floor. It's Tasha's got dang old earring, because, Cindy was fucking in that same room the night before. So Silver's like, oh, well, no, I don't have a lady friend. It's something new. She's not my lady. We're in that gray area, you know what I'm saying? And so, Ghost's like, okay, cool. Well, if you want, Tasha can get you in contact with our cleaning lady. She's really good. And he was like, nah, I think I'm okay because I'm fucking your wife. I mean, I just can't believe I could fuck that man. and people were debating about this last week in the comments and even on Facebook and everything about Tasha fucking Silver. And some people felt like she was fine for fucking Silver because Ghost fucking Angela. I think people were upset that she fucked Silver simply because this is the second employee of James's that she fucked. And if she was gonna have sex with somebody, why couldn't you have sex with, somebody who don't work for your husband? Like, pick somebody else. Like, find a random dude and fuck somebody who don't have anything to do with your husband. Like, do what you do, boo-boo. I ain't saying you can't go out there and do whatever, but, I'm just against sleeping with someone who's connected to the person I'm with. That's just like a rule of mine. Okay, anywho, all off subject. So the next thing that we see is Tommy and Dre at the warehouse kind of having a conversation. And, Dre was asking Tommy if he had heard anything back from the Hermedez cartel. And Tommy's like, no, I'm basically waiting like a guy's trying to wait for a prom date or something. He said, how he waiting? And he's just like, once, if we don't hear back from them, we're going to have to go to war. And Dre like, well, are the Serbians cool with you going to war with the Hermedez cartel? And he's like, well, if we do this right, Jason wouldn't even have to know because we'll handle it all ourselves. He then says, but what the fuck are you questioning me for? He basically checks Dre because Dre has been tremendously stepping out of line just all around the board. Everyone knows, everyone who watches the show, know that Dre is the biggest snake on the show. Like, Dre, I think he's maybe the first snake-ish person that's really doing, that's really playing all sides. Like, he is the fucking worst. He was like, but basically if they don't respond by midnight, we're going to war. Get everybody ready and, have everybody ready. So Dre like, yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready. And everybody else going to be ready too. Dre fuck this motherfucking frog here. And then Thomas says he has to go somewhere else. And he leaves. So the next thing that we see Sax. And he's sending Angela a text like, I'm running late, but I'm on my way. So as he's trying to get a cab, someone comes and taps him on the shoulder. Who is it? It's Sandoval. So Sandoval is like, so Sax like, oh, hey, Mike, what's up? He's like, Mike called me into the office. He was asking me questions. He's trying to get into this whole Donovan thing. And then, Sax is like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, did he call you and to talk to you privately? And he was like, no, he haven't done that with me. But if he do, I'll let you know. And Sandoval's like, Sex, we're still in this thing together, right? We're still going to do this thing together. So he's like, yeah, we're in this together. I haven't heard anything. I want Donovan to pay too. And, as soon as I know something, I'll let you know. So that was the whole thing of a little, you kind of see how Sandoval feels like something is wrong because he can't keep winning and shit. So for the first time, I feel like he's nervous. I mean, he was nervous before when stuff would happen, but he always kind of kept his cool, and he just seemed like he wasn't, calm, cool, and collected when he was talking to Sax. So the next thing that we see is Tasha and Keisha at the house, and Tasha all up in her feelings because she didn't sleep with Silver. So Keisha like, Tasha, hello, Tasha all in her head. She's like, oh, hey girl. And she's like, I saw you you were on TV last night, you were with Ghost, do you think that was the right thing for you to do? And Tasha was like, well, yeah, Terry thinks it's the best thing for me to be right by Ghost's side. And Keisha was like, Terry, the lawyer guy, you still talking to him? And she's like, yeah. And she looked all happy-go-lucky. Now, Tariq is on the damn couch, not even 10 feet away. So I'm like, why you being all googly-eyed in front of your damn son when you were supposed to be with his daddy? So she's like, I need to tell you something, Keisha. So as she's about to talk to Keisha, Raina walks in. And Raina's like, Mom, can you look at this? And she's showing her mother the brochure for that Connecticut school that she was talking about in the last episode. And, that she was talking to Tariq about in the last episode. And she's like, it's a school in Connecticut. They have really good classes there, and I think it'll be good. And then, but as she hands her mother the brochure, her mother sees the bruise on her arm that Tariq, old gangster crazy ass did. And she's like, Raina, what happened to your arm? Because it was a bad bruise from when he twisted her arm last week. And she's So when she says that, Tariq looks over to her. She's looking at Tariq and she's like, oh, I just bumped into some kids at school. It's okay. And she pulls her sleeve down. It's like, it doesn't nothing to worry about. But, what about the school? I want to go away. And she's like, why do you want to go away from your family now? Like, why would you want to leave us now? And she again looks over at Tariq. I just, want to go away now. My brother is beating me up and now I won't tell you and I want out this goddamn house is what I would have said. Look, my thing is, you can't be my sibling and be beating on me. You got money that you don't give me. You hanging out all night and stuff. You get in all kind of trouble and now I'm going to keep taking it. No, ma'am. No, sir. Mama, I'm telling. Tariq put his goddamn hands on me and he need to be fucked up is what I would have said. But I'm a different person than Raina. Raina, she just want to get out of there because she know it's some stuff going on that she don't want to be involved in. So she's like, okay, baby, we'll talk about it later. We shall see. And Tariq is still looking on, crazy. Like, she's just stupid. And she's like, go get dressed for school. So she'll say, Tariq, go get your coat for school or whatever. So as she's saying that, he's texting Brain, who is Kanan's people. Like, hey, I want in. I'm down for whatever. So I'm looking like he gonna probably be stupid. So the next little scene that we see is Ghost is meeting with Mr. Tate. What is Mr. Tate's real name? Mr. Tate is Lorenz Tate's character, but his real name I think is like Rashad or something. Yeah, Rashad. I have to think of what his real name was. I had it written down lower down in my notes. But he's meeting with Rashad, who was Mr. Tate, to talk. Basically about them starting up businesses and things in Queens. And as they're, talking or whatnot, Ghost is like, oh, so yeah, it's just me and you, right? And he's like, oh, no, I invited someone else. And who do we see pull up? Dre. As Rashad says, yeah, I wanted to bring someone along who you've helped from this neighborhood, change their life. And I'm looking like, well, damn, who did he help? He helped a lot of people. I know Julio did, so, who they bringing up? Because someone, I'm thinking, would have told would have told Ghost. But no, it was Dre, old snake ass, pulling up. Like, hey, so Ghost, of course, looks, surprised, like, oh, hey, whatever. So, and this is that part of the conversation. The next thing that we see is Sax, Donovan, and Angela at Angela's apartment having a conversation. And Donovan is telling them how Sandoval came to his house and basically told his daughter not to tell him he was there. Because, of course, Sandoval didn't know that he has his daughter on weekends. Ooh, I need some water in a minute. So Angela is saying he clearly went to your apartment to kill you because he's trying to throw you up under the bus as the mole, but he also knows that if he pins you as the mole and you're dead, you can't then have any way to prove that you're not the mole, because basically a dead person can't exonerate themselves. And Sax is like, look, he also came to me today just asking about if we were still basically working together. And I told him, yeah, that we still think that Donovan did it. So Donovan's like, you son of a bitch. Donovan's mad. And Sax is like, look, if he's really the mole, if he really killed Greg, he would kill all of us. So I have to let him think that, we're all on the same page. And Angela, because they're like, we don't really have any evidence against him, so it's going to be hard to go to mock with anything. So Angela then goes to her safe and she brings out that phone that Ghost gave her, which was the other phone that people was calling Sandoval on back when they broke Lobos out of jail. So she's like, this is the phone where someone was calling Lobos, and when I called the number stored in this phone, the person who answered was in the office. It could not have been Greg because Greg was somewhere else. Saxon wasn't you. Donovan wasn't you. The only person it could have been was Sandoval. So he had the other burner phone, and that is a piece of evidence. But Sax is like, we can't, no, Sax, who is always confusing me, because Sax was like, well, no, how do we know that Greg didn't hide the phone that they found in Greg's apartment? It's the phone that Angela was saying call the phone that she has. So, Sack says, how do we know that Greg wasn't really the mole and that he left that phone in his apartment on purpose? So at that point, Donovan was pissed off. Donovan like, okay, so you mean to tell me he hid the phone, wiped his own prints off of it, shot himself, and his motherfucking ghost went and hid his gun at Truth? Which is true, because if he did put the phone in his apartment, why was his prints not on it? Did he then kill himself? Because if he's the mole, he would have killed himself. Then, not only that, how did the gun that killed him end up in Truth if James didn't do it? So it was the whole thing of, it has to be Sandoval, but we don't have any proof of it. So Stack's like, well, we can't use his phone because you can't even tell us, Angela, where you got it from. Because she can't. All she told them was that Ghost gave it to her, but she wouldn't say where he got it from. He like, look, we don't have shit to go on. What are we going to do now? So that was the end of that scene. For me, it was a good thing seeing them kind of put the pieces together. It was still fucked up because the pieces they have, they can't prove, or they can't say where everything came from, but they all know that he did it. Like, that part is clear, but they just need more evidence to do it. So next they have Tate's Rashad walking through the neighborhood with Ghost and just saying how they need to rebuild it. Drea's also there too, and Ghost's like, yeah, I would love to rebuild a neighborhood that I grew up in. I think that's great. And as they're standing on a corner, Ghost look over and he see, the local Soros selling drugs on the corner. And, Rashad says, well, to do this, we're going to have to kind of clear away some of these, the drug dealers and stuff like that. We have to get some of these corners cleared in order for people to want to allow us to build here, to make the neighborhood be better. And he gets the phone call, so he kind of steps away. And when he steps away, Ghost kind of snatches Dre up quick, like, you don't want to give me a heads up that you're going to be here? What the fuck's up with that? And, Dre is like, Rashad told me you would be cool with this, so that's why I came. I didn't know you didn't know. And plus, it's about all keeping up, this legit persona or whatever. Dre then proceeds to tell Ghost everything about Tommy. How Tommy is wants to go to war with the Jimenez cartel. How people, he not listening to nobody. How he don't think Tommy's thinking straight. He like, you need to talk to him. He like, what? He wants to go to war? Oh, that won't be good for nobody right now. And I'm like, how the fuck is Dre all in Tommy head, getting Tommy, how is it that no one sees him playing on sides? Like, I don't even understand. I love Power, but some of the stuff that they doing, to me, kind of doesn't make sense based on how smart Tommy and Ghost was in seasons 1 and season 2. Hell, even in season 3. And it's like, in this season, they just stupid. Just plain old stupid. You getting played by a first time in the game drug dealer by Dre. I just don't get how that happens. But I also get how it's happening solely because Ghost and Tommy aren't back to being really, really Ghost and Tommy. They don't talk about everything anymore. They talk about only like one subject. They'll bring up whatever they're there to discuss, and they don't add in other stuff. Y'all need to have a real goddamn conversation. Next, we see Tommy show up to his mom's house because, as we know, in the last episode, the ending was Teresi telling Tommy that he's his father and bringing up that, he met Kate in Atlantic City. She had long red legs and all this stuff. So he gets to his mom's house and he's asking her about his father. And she's like, I already told you about your dad. He left when you were young, before you were old enough to remember who he was, and he died shortly after. And he's like, look, where did you meet him at? Well, I met him in Atlantic City at this, and she said whatever club, the same thing that Teresi said. And he's like, I talked to Teresi on the phone, and he says he's my father. And she's like, does that guy have any reason to fuck with you, Tommy? And he's like, well, yeah. He's just an asshole. He probably knew your father, but he's not your father. Your father's dead. And, I don't know him, and leave it at that. So, he just fucking with you. So Tommy like, okay, fine. He ends up leaving, and it's like, okay, whatever. The next scene which she seemed believable, but even when Tommy walked out the door, she looked like, oh shit, the person who was that is coming back to fuck shit up. So yeah. Anywho, the next scene that we see It's Dre talking to, I think, Cristobal. Cristobal was there. Uriel was there. The other people who is a part of their organization. And he's letting them know, hey, we got to go to war with the Jimenez cartel. And they like, what? That's crazy. That's Tommy's fight. That don't have nothing to do with us. We don't want no ends. We don't want to be into this. And basically saying, fuck Tommy. And, Dre's like, look, he's the connect, so we have to just do what we have to do. I'm the distro, and we have to go to war. That's it. I'll call y'all when we got to strap up. So everybody kind of just walks away. Cristobal walks up to Dre and say, hey, you really want to do this? You really want to go to war? And he's like, fuck no, of course not. But, Tommy's the connect, and that's what he wants to do. So, for the time being, I have to just do this. And, he's like, 'cause I'm a new distro, so I have no choice. And he's like, but, we have to do something about this. But the thing is, we both have to be on the same accord, and we have to be one step ahead of Tommy. And they kind of walk away. I'm looking like, so, again, why it's, I get a TV show can't have the exact same character always be winning. You always want to add in new stuff. But for me, I don't like where it's going. Like, I don't want Dre to take over. I don't like Dre. And I like the actor Rotimi. I like him. I would have preferred if he was okay working with Tommy for the time being. Like, why are you trying to take everything over? I fucking hate you. It just irks my fucking nerves. So next we see Tommy and Ghost meeting, because the reason Tommy left his mom's house is because Ghost called him to meet. Because Dre told Ghost that Tommy wants to go to war with the Jimenez cartel. So, he like, I heard you want to go to war with the Jimenez cartel. And then Tommy like, did you know the fucking Teresi guy's my fucking father? And Ghost is like, fuck that. What about you going to war? And he's like, no, but that's what he wanted. And then Ghost is like, I had an idea. I had my suspicions, but I didn't know one way or the other. And he's like, well, fuck, what do you think? You know what I'm saying? He's like, no, well, did you ask your mom? Did you ask Kate? And he's like, yeah, she's saying that it's not true. But what do you think? And he's like, well, fuck, you both have blue eyes. I don't know what to think. But back to this goddamn war that you're trying to start with the Jimenez cartel. And he's like, why would you want to go to war? Does the people you work with even have your back like that? And Tommy's like, look, I don't want to start a war that I know I can't win. But I can't go back and negotiate with them because it'll make me look like a pussy. And I ain't trying to do that. Like, basically, they should have agreed to my terms when I was there. I should not have left without them agreeing to my terms. For me, it means that they don't fully respect me. And he's like, I told them I killed Lobos and they didn't even flinch. And Ghost is like, well, how did you tell them? Like, how did you say it? And he's like, well, I just said it. And so, Ghost is suggesting that he goes back to them and say, you have no leverage. I have all the leverage. You have to give me what I'm asking for. And Tommy's like, I don't want to do that. I can't go back in and do that negotiation. And Ghost is like, they have to play ball. You have all the leverage. And then Tommy's like, you know what? You should pitch it. Like, you should go in and say it. And Ghost is like, I can't go into the meeting with you guys right now. Shit is crazy. And he's like, look, you can't want things done the way you want them done, but not get your hands dirty. If you want this to happen, you have to get your hands dirty. And so Ghost is like, I'll come to the meeting. So I'm like, okay, I like when Ghost and Tommy, for me, that's what made Power. That's what made the seasons, the characters work. You had this camaraderie between Ghost and Tommy, and they was like the yin and the yang, the A to the B. You know what I'm saying? They worked together. So for me, the further away they get from working together, the more the show takes a different turn. And that's why I'm like, I don't really like this whole Dre taking over thing. I'm happy they got the Kanan story out the way, so I'm like, I'm happy with that. But still, I'm like, I just wish it can kind of get back to that in some sort of way. I know Ghost don't want to be back into selling drugs, but I'm like, they should still be able to work together in a way that doesn't mean Dre got to come in trying to take shit over. But I guess if Dre coming in to take shit over, that would be a reason for Ghost and Tommy to work together even harder to kill Dre monkey ass. So, cool. The next thing that we see is Ghost pops up on Proctor. Proctor is at his daughter's school, and he's getting in his car. And who pops into the passenger seat? It is Ghost. And Ghost looks angry. He reminds me of Ghost from season 1, that when he was pissed off, you could see in his face he was pissed off. If you recall from the season 1, when Ghost told Holly to not fuck with Tommy, and she popped up to dinner with Tommy, and Tommy walked away from the table, and Ghost slid her chair real close to him, and the face he had, and he was talking to her all mean, like, that's the fucking Ghost that I missed. And that was the Ghost that was talking to Proctor, that I told you what the fuck to do, you didn't do it, and now I'm pissed the fuck off. That's the Ghost I miss. So, he get in the car and he's like, I went to your house to talk to you, and I saw you talking to Mike. Why the fuck you ain't tell me you was talking to Mike? And he's like, why wouldn't you tell me that? He's like, well, because there was nothing to tell. Mike is just trying to scare me into saying something, and I'm not going to do that. Like it or not, we're all in this together. And Ghost is like, what you mean there's nothing to tell? Proctor then says, hey, well, the reason they came to visit me was because they checked Bailey's records, the Homeland Security guy. The last person he called was me, and also his cell phone pinged off the cell phone tower near me. But that's nothing to say that I did anything. They're just fucking with me, so they hope I would say something. And, but that doesn't prove anything. He's like, but it's Tommy's fault for killing him anyway. And he's like, no, it's Tommy's fault that he let you get rid of the body, and you keep the tape to get rid of the tape. And he looks angry. He looks pissed off because he feels like Proctor has it. He's going to keep it for some reason to use as evidence. And Proctor's like, you think I kept that stuff? There's no fucking, recording. There's no fucking body to find. There's nothing. We're all in this together, like it or not. And, but I'm not going to say anything. And he's like, look, I just don't know who I can trust, is what Ghost is saying to Proctor. And Proctor's like, it's still me. You can still trust me. And that's the end of that scene. We're going to talk about that a little later. So we see that Tommy then goes to see Teresa's wife, because he ain't letting go of this thing of who his daddy is. And when he gets there, she remembers him from the first time that he was there. So she lets him in the house. He did come over saying he was looking for the other friend. I can't think of the friend's name. But he was looking for Teresa's other friend who isn't there. But she's like, oh, he went to the store. He'll be back in a few minutes. So, you can come in and wait. And she's like, you're that kid, Egan. Tommy Egan. And he's like, yeah. I must have made a memorable impression. People don't usually remember me. And he's like, yeah, what's your business here? He's never mentioned you. He's like, yeah, our business is new. And he's looking around. I'm like, oh, this is a picture of him when he was younger, huh? Oh, he was quite a looker back in the day. And she's like, yeah, he was. So who's your family? Who's your parents or whatever? I don't know any Egans. And then he's like, you got some water? And she's like, yeah, I also have some whatever liquor that she said she had to drink. So as she's going into the kitchen to get him something to drink, he's looking in her cabinet where her pictures are. He finds a picture album. And she's like, so what's your mom's name? And he's like, oh, I thought you said you didn't know any Egans. And she's like, yeah, but I could have known her, someone else. I'm pretty sure she could have had a different name. And as he's talking, he's flipping through a little photo album. And then he comes across the picture. And he just pulls the picture out and puts it in his pocket and puts the photo album back. And then he's like, yeah, my mom's name is Kate. Kate Egan. And she's like, oh, Kate Egan. Yep, I don't know her. And then his phone rings. Like, you know what? I got to go. I'll come back later. Or whatever. So he leaves and he takes the picture with him. And that's the whole scene. Next, we see Tommy and Ghost meeting with the Hernandez cartel. And, they're still not really at giving Tommy what he wants, as far as what Tommy's asking for. And Ghost is like, look, I paid for Julio. I paid, money for his life. You guys killed him. You guys owe us. It's that simple. You have to give us what we want. He then has a seat, and he's like, the thing that matters the most is a person's reputation. You guys are saying that you killed Lobos. We know you didn't kill Lobos. how would people feel if they knew that you guys were lying about who you murdered? You would lose respect. You would lose your clout. You should care about that more than anything else. So y'all should give us what we want. You know, the corners that we wanted, the extra people that we wanted, the ports and everything. And if you give us that, we will keep your secret that you didn't kill Lobos. And, you know, that's only right after what happened to Julio. And he basically says, give us what we want or we're going to tell on y'all. It's basically what Go said. So when he says that, Diego pulls out his gun. Because Diego is pissed off. I think he's the hothead of them. And Tommy's like, you think we stupid? You think we wouldn't come here with a plan B? Basically meaning you can't kill us and think that's going to stop someone from saying the truth or whatever that happens. Ghost's like, look, even if you kill us, it'll still come out that you guys didn't kill Lobos. So you better just play ball with us. And the female Jimenez cartel person's like, you know, put your gun away. And she's like, so you would basically go to jail just to spite us? And he was like, look, people have our interests. They're going to make sure that we don't go to jail. But, you know, this is what we want. Do it or else. So she's like, you know, you'll have your... he said, you know, you'll have 24 hours. And she's like, okay, we'll be in touch. They leave when they go to the car, where Dre is in the car, and so is the other guy, the black guy who is Tommy's, like, right-hand dude. And Dre's like, so what happened? And he's like, you know, we gave him time to respond. And then Tommy's like, yeah, but he didn't respond, though. And as they're sitting there, you see Dre looking at them coming out of the meeting place. Was looking at the Hernandez people coming out the meeting place. And he looked like he had just seen, like, okay, yeah, that's my end. I fucking hate Dre. So that whole scene ends. Next, we see Tommy goes to his mom's house. And he puts the picture into her face. And he's like, you see what this is, Mom? This is me as a baby. That's our old house where we lived when I was a baby. And that's fucking Teresi holding me as a baby. You know, and he's pissed off. And he's like, you know, don't fucking lie to me anymore. Is he my fucking father? And she's like, yes, he's your dad. I told you that. But he fucking left you. He left you when you were a kid and he never came back. He came over that one time. I took that one picture and he never came back. That's the truth. And Tommy's pissed and he basically just leaves. And that's what that posting was. So, next. The big scene. Sandoval. No. I left out a part. Oh, how did I forget? Sandoval meets with Sax. I don't know why I didn't write that part down, though. That's crazy. Sandoval meets with Sax, and Sax basically says to him, hey, Angela thinks you did it. She has this evidence. She's going to go to mock. That's the whole conversation. I just wanted you to know. And he's like, shit. Okay. That's the one part that I forgot to mention. So, the next is we then see Sandoval at Angela's apartment. And, you know, he knocks on the door. She's like, oh, okay. So she opens it. He's like, you know, we need to talk. He comes in, takes his coat off. She tries to get him something to drink, and we see that he has a gun, you know, in his back. And he's like, you think I'm the mole? You think I killed Greg? And she's like, you fucking talk to Sax. And he's like, look, I'm not the mole. And she's like, you know, you can stop lying, Mike. You know, I have all this evidence. So she brings up how Greg saw him going into the Lobos' contact, like back in season 3, when Greg did see him go to that contact's house. Greg did see him do that. And he's like, Mike didn't know that he saw that. He said, and then from there, Greg called the Federales to check on the tip you said came from them. And when he found out that it did not come from them, he knew you were the mole. And because he knew you were the mole, you killed him. She had like little photos of him coming out of the apartment. She had photos of Greg coming out of the apartment as well. So it's like, okay, that connects that he knew what you were doing. And he like, you went to Greg's house to talk to him, but you shot him instead to keep your secret. You also handled Greg's phone records, and you redacted the fact that the Federales that he called the fellow rallies and that they called him back. You did that to cover your own tracks, because had we known they called, it would have traced back to you. And, you know, that's all evidence. It is like, what did Lobos have on you? And then he's like, you know, you have no idea what it's like, you know, to be pushed up against a corner. You know, he was going to kill my daughter. And then as he says that, it shoots to the scene of Mock, Sax, Donovan, and all of them in the FBI truck listening. Yes, Angela's sneaky ass is a wire, and they're recording all of this. And Mock is like, did he just confess to being the mole? And he's like, basically, yeah. So Donovan's like, well, okay, let's go get him. And Mock is like, well, no, you know, we need to get more. And he's like, fuck that. The last time he was along with an agent, he killed him. I'm not letting him kill Angela. So he tells the other people, you know, keep recording, we're going up. So as they're going up, he's like, look, you know, I had to do this. I didn't have a choice. I had no choice in this. But you did have a choice. You know, because Angela said, no, we can go talk to Mock, we can explain this. And he's like, no, I'm not going to explain anything. That's when he said, I had a choice in this. No, I had no choice, but you did. And I'm going to go to Mock, and I'm going to tell Mock everything that I have on you. And she's like, you have nothing on me. I'm innocent. And he's like, you know, no one's innocent. And then he pulls out a gun. Oh, shit. She's like, why do you have a gun? Why do you have a gun? Which lets them know he has a gun, and they're trying to come up there faster. So he's like, you know, Angela, this all could have been fine, but you just wouldn't leave the fuck alone. And then she like unplugged the microphone so they couldn't hear what was going on, because then the sound went out. And like, what the fuck just happened? Where's the sound? So she's like, Mike, you know, you don't have to do this. There's another way. He's like, shut the fuck up and turn around. He's going to shoot her in the back. And she's like, oh crap. So as she's facing the other way, he's facing her back, and she's like, how are you going to, how would you say it was self-defense? Because he's like, no, he said, I'm going to say it was self-defense, that we were struggling and you went for my gun, and that you were the actual mole. Just cut my finger. And that you're the actual mole. And then she's like, well, how would you, you know, claim self-defense if you shoot me in the back? And he was like, what? She turns and she shoots him in the chest, though. She doesn't kill him. And when he's on the ground, she shows him the wire. And she's like, you know, they're going to buzz in the door in a couple of minutes. You know, you have a couple of minutes to save yourself. He's like, why would you help me? She's like, look, shut up. You know, you're not a murderer. You're a witness. And as she says that, they bust in. And they're like, you know, put the gun down, Angela. They take her gun. They take him into custody because now they know he's the mole. And they're like, are you okay? She's like, yeah. You know, he went for his gun. I had a split second to, you know, defend myself, and I had to shoot him. So they're like, cool. But for some reason, Sax was kind of looking like he knew something, was because Sax heard Sandoval say, I'm going to go and I'm going to tell my everything that I have on you. So I don't know if it, because they didn't show what was said in between that time. So we don't know if he heard anything be said. But he came in kind of looking a little weird, but not too weird, but a little weird. So, yeah. The next thing that we see is that we see Kate goes to visit Teresi. And basically says, you know, hey, I'm looking now. It's so much shit to go over. Kate visits Teresi. And he's like, hey, you know, I saw our son. You know, he's kind of cool. And she's like, you know, stay the fuck away from Tommy. That's what we agreed on. Stay the fuck away from him. He's like, look, I'm an old man now. You know, I want to see my son. And she's like, if you don't leave Tommy alone, I'm going to tell Connie about us and about the son that she doesn't know about. And he's like, Kate, even though I'm in here, you know it's never smart to threaten me. And she's like, I don't give a fuck. You know, stay the fuck away from my son. And then she walks out. So, yeah. This goddamn boy, Tariq. The next scene we see is Tariq dumbass. He's in a car with two of Kanan's boys. The brains dude and the other guy. I can't think of what his name is. And, you know, they're breaking in houses. So they're telling Tariq, you know, go up to the door. Once you get in there, you know, to signal us, just nod your head if the person's in there alone. He's like, okay, cool. He walks up to this door. And the lady comes to the door. He's like, hey, you know, I'm selling candy for my school for the swim team. And she's like, oh, okay, you're on the swim team. He's like, yeah. basically, making her think he's a kid from the neighborhood, just selling goddamn candy bars. So she's like, oh, my son did swim. Okay, hold on. So she let him in and was like, let me go get some money for my purse. Trusting ass white people. Because I would not have let the kid in my house. You would have stayed your ass outside with his locked ass door. But no, what did she do? She actually unlocked her door and let him come in and stand in the foyer or the front of her home. Not with me. Your ass would have been outside the whole goddamn time. Matter of fact, I probably would not have even opened my door. I don't need no candy. I got a Snickers bar in the cabinet. No, thank you. Bye-bye. So when she comes back with the little money, like, oh, you have change for like a 20 or whatnot, we see the other two guys bust in the door. They hit her in the face with a gun. They punch Tariq in the stomach, and he goes falls to the ground. And they're like, where's the fucking safe? Take us to the safe, and, we won't kill you. And then the one guy says to the other guy, take his cell phone, and if he says anything crazy, kill him. And he drags the white woman upstairs. And then the other guy waits till they're out of earshot. He's like, sorry I had to punch you. I had to make it look real. I had to make it look real. Like, okay, when I go upstairs, you get out of here. Or whatever. So, he goes upstairs. Tariq, gets up from off the ground. And he doesn't leave. He goes upstairs because he just hears them yelling. So, he's going upstairs. And he's slowly walking. And he sees the one guy in the safe. But he sees the other lady, and she's on the bed. And so he realized the guy is trying to rape her. So the one guy brains is in the safe. And he said, man, what the fuck are you doing? Man, come on. And he's like, shut up. Don't worry about what I'm over here doing. And he's like whipping her shirt open and, fondling her and stuff. And Tariq is sitting there and he's like shocked. Because again, this isn't what he thought was going to happen. But this is what happens when you hang around people who break in people's houses. Sometimes they rape people, okay? You can't... Tariq, dumbass, been thinking this is all fun and games. And he finally seen some real shit go down. So, when he sees that, he's like, your brains, tell him to stop. And they both looking at him like, now why the fuck would you say our names? Or at least say his name. And why would you let this lady know that we know you? This was the whole point of you leaving, so she didn't know that you had anything to do with it. So he's kind of looking at them. They're like, oh shit. So the lady's like, oh no. Just no. And then he's like, I really wish you would not have said our names. And then he holds his gun up, and he shoots the lady in the head. Kills her dead. And then you see Tariq is gone. Tariq was running. I mean, Forrest Gump across the country, goddamn gone running. He was out of there. So he's running and running and running and running. He runs like through some parked cars, and he hides like in the backyard somewhere. And as he's doing that, the guy Brains is calling and texting like, where you at? Answer the phone. Call me back. Bitch, I don't want to talk to you now. You just killed a whole white lady, okay? You just killed a whole white lady, shot her in the head in front of my face. But the weird part about that is, you just said that shit when they killed Jukebox in front of your goddamn on face. That was all normal. You went back home, so that day you wasn't all scared. You didn't run that damn day. The fuck? So, but now you scared. Oh, now you scared, Tariq? Now you scared? Oh, punk ass. But that's what he get. He keeps getting himself in these bullshit ass. He keeps getting himself in this shit. I wouldn't want to be around people who try to kidnap me. I wouldn't even want to. Why would you even go back around them goddamn people? You so fucking stupid. Anywho, next. Next we see Sandoval in the interrogation room. He's talking to Mock, and he basically says, "Look, I'll tell you everything that you want to know, but I want immunity." And he's like, "Now why would I give you immunity? Why would I do that?" And he's like, "Because if you don't give me immunity, I'm going to say that every case that I ever had was influenced by Lobos. That would tie the DA's office up into appeals and all kind of litigation stuff forever. Your whole career will be ruined, and, it will be a shitstorm. So, if you don't want your office buried in appeals and stuff, I want immunity." And so Mock was like, "I'll see what I can do." Meaning he was going to try to give it to him because he don't want to deal with all that. We then see Angela, and she's going to see Terry. And she's letting Terry know, hey, just to let you know, last night we arrested the murderer of Greg Knox. And he's like, okay, that's good. Who was it? And she's like, it was Sandoval. He's like, God damn it, really? the whole time he was, accusing James, and it was actually him. And then he's like, was James was actually innocent, and she was like, yes, he is. So, if you let him know, and also let Proctor know, because if you don't tell Proctor, he won't know. And so he's like, okay, cool. So the next thing we see is Terry Silver goes to the St. Patrick's house, and he walks up, and so Tasha sees him first, and she's like, hey, Terry. Bitch, first of all, don't call that man Terry in your own goddamn house. Call that man Mr. Silver. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. He's like, hello, Mrs. St. Patrick. She's like, Mrs. St. Patrick? And she's like, I didn't mean to startle you. And as they're having that little bit of a conversation, Ghost walk up. Like, hey, hey, Silver. See, he called him Silver. That's what you're supposed to call your goddamn gun lawyer. He's like, I got your message. What's up? What's up? And he basically goes in to say, they arrested another person for Greg's murder. They got Knox's killer. So Tasha's like, oh my God, so what does it mean for James? And he's like, well, it means that he'll be cleared of all charges, and he'll be free from everything. Oh my God, that is so good. Oh my God, I'm so happy. And she instantly hugs James, and they have this little embrace, and she looks relieved and happy. And as she's doing that, her and Terry are looking at each other like Google, like he looked like, look at this shit, and she kind of looking like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm hugging him in front of Terry. And she's like, Terry then says, okay, it looks like y'all have a lot to celebrate. And she's like, yeah. James then said, you know what, Silver, I know we bumped head. We kind of didn't agree on stuff, but, thank you for, coming through for me. He's like, okay, no problem. He's like, but let me go call, I think he said he was going to go call Tate to tell him, no, they can move forward with some things. And at that point, Tasha and Silver are not having a conversation. And then he's like, James came to my apartment, the next day. Does he know anything? And she was like, no, he doesn't know anything. And then he was like, yeah, you left your earring. And she snatches the earring. Oh my God, I can't believe I left it. And, she's like, look, I know this is kind of difficult. It's kind of crazy. He's like, look, let's just have dinner next week. And she's like, okay. I mean, bitch, in your own house? I'm just like, oh my God, with the goddamn bald-headed ass lawyer. So next we see James, Tommy, and Proctor having a conversation at Truth. And they're basically saying, they know that Sandoval knows a lot. They know that he was the mole for Lobos, and that if he is able to testify and give the DA's office information, they're all basically fucked, because he'll have info on them all. So they come to the consensus that because they know Sandoval going to be a snitch out in these streets, that he basically has to die. So they're trying to figure out how to get him murdered when he's in police custody. So they're like, before he, by tomorrow he'll be under protective custody. Like, he won't be around. He'll be like what is it called? You know what it is when you got them protected, okay? You know what I mean. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. And so they're like, we have to get it done now. We can't wait to have someone else do. We can't wait to have him transferred. We need to have it done while he's in lockup now. So Tommy's like, we can have Teresi do it. He's like, I don't know if I trust him. I don't know. Tommy, do you think he would do it? He's like, look, he's my fucking father. He owes me. So, I'm going to ask him to do it. But protective custody, that's what it was I was thinking about before he gets into protective custody. So that's the consensus that they're going to try to have that arranged, to have him murdered. So Tommy does call his dad. He's like, hey. He's like, yeah, I wanted to hear, talk to you. So he's like, look, I need a favor. He's like, well, what's the favor? He was like, I need, you have a cellmate in there who is issues with me, and I need him taken care of. And then his dad was like, what's the name? He's like, just like that, no questions asked. And Teresa was like, we're family, of course. And, that was it. So, next, this is a long review. We see Dre, Cristobal, and Uriel, and they're meeting with the Hernandez cartel. And I'm looking like, Dre is moving up too quickly. And it just doesn't make fucking sense. But I guess because he's making connections within the right people, And because Tommy and Ghost almost don't pay him enough attention, he's able to make these moves they don't see coming. But it still pisses me the fuck off. He's basically selling Tommy out. He's like, I can deliver y'all Tommy's whole organization without a war. And I can do it right up under his nose. He's like, Tommy wanting to go to war is wrong, and I'm trying to avoid that. And he's like, no one follows Tommy. They all follow me. And they then asked Sherelle and they asked Christopher, like, are y'all following Tommy or y'all following Dre? And they both agree it's Dre and that everyone that follows them will follow Dre as well. It's a whole goddamn takeover. But they then asked, why should we listen to you? We have a lot of connects who we can put in place. What makes you the person that we should go to? And he's like, look, because I want to be the biggest goddamn drug dealer in New York. Now, for me, I remember when Ghost said that in season 1, at the end of season 1, when he was talking to Lobos. Dre saying it almost to me looked petty. Not even petty, but a sad repeat of something. He didn't even say it the way that Ghost said it. So for me, it didn't mean shit. For me, it meant the writers wanted to put that in there as a thing of Dre wanting to be Ghost. But he said, I can't do that. I can't be the biggest goddamn drug dealer in New York if I'm working for Tommy. Plus I have the connect to the whole Bassett Hotel group. I can make your drugs be sold in all of their hotels and all of their clubs. And they're like, you know what? If you can do that, we'll agree. So what we'll do is we'll give Tommy what he wants for right now to give you time to take him out in whatever way you see fit. But Diego was like, but if you fuck this up, I'm going to kill you myself. And that was the end of that scene. To me, that was crazy. But I hate Dre, so it's like, whatever. So we do see Sandoval in jail. And he's in jail getting bandaged up. And we see that he has a picture of his daughter. And he's looking at it and he's thinking about, whatever he had to do to keep her safe. Because remember, he kept saying how Lobos was going to kill her if he didn't do what he was told to do. So we see the doctor says, I got to go get something. Now I'll be right back. Somebody walks back in. I think it's the exact same doctor. And he has like a homemade prison shank. And he slits his neck a little bit. And Sandoval grabs his neck, falls to the floor, and he basically bleeds out. And at that moment in time, Tommy gets the phone call saying it's done. Then we see that Dre calls Tommy and says that Hernandez cartel called Uriel and agrees to everything. There will be no war, and everything's fine. So Tommy's, happy. But we see Dre made that phone call sitting in the car with Cristobal. And Cristobal's like, do you really think that you can pull off all that shit and take this from Tommy without Tommy knowing? And Dre's like, absolutely. They gotta kill Dre real fast. The scenes happen like so you see Sandoval gets killed. Tommy gets the call that it's done. Tommy gets the call that the war is off, that they agreed. Then you see, Dre and Christopher talking. And then the next thing that we see is Proctor walking into the post office. And what does he put in the post office box? The goddamn gone laptop. Yes, he kept the goddamn gone laptop. Oh, funky ass bastard. The last thing that we see, the last scene, is Tate, Rashad, and Ghost meeting at Ghost's house. And Ghost is telling Tate, hey, that drug dealer corner that you were worried about, I got that cleared off. You don't have to worry about it. So we're good to start business. And Rashad is like, cool, great. I'm so happy we can start working on this. But I have one question. Like, how did you do it? He's like, look, I knew someone. They owed me a favor. They came through. And, it basically got done. So that's fine. And, at that point, we see Tariq come in. He's walking across the room. So Dre. So Ghost is like, Tariq, is that you, son? Like, yeah, Dad. So, Ghost then introduces Tariq, old ghetto ass, not ghetto, crazy. So to the councilman, Tate. And he's like, okay, were you out with your friends, son? He's like, yeah, I was out playing basketball with some of my friends. I'm going to go take a shower. As he's walking out, his phone rings and his brain's calling him again. So he's like, Dad, Raina mentioned some school in Connecticut that might be good for us. I'm wondering if maybe I can go too. And he's like, really? He's like, yeah, I heard they have a good basketball team, a good school, good whatever. He's like, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it in the morning. So Tariq then walks away. And Ghost then says to Rashad, no, Rashad, first, you got a good kid. He's like, yeah, he's everything that I wish he would be. Fucking lying. And, Tariq's like, yeah, you're lucky. And then Ghost is like, no, us, we're not lucky, we make our own luck. And they both look a little guilty, like, they have that little, James has his ghost side, and I'm pretty sure that, Rashad has his ghetto side that we'll eventually see probably next season. The last scene of this evening is Mark, Sax, and Angela looking at Sandoval's dead body. And they're like, who the fuck knew he was here? And they're like, no one but us. No, we're the only ones that knew. And they're like, this is fucked up. And then Sax and Mark walk out. Angela stands over Sandoval's body and she says in Spanish, this is for Greg. And then the episode goes off. So you know what that means? Angela knew what she was doing when she told Terry that Sandoval was the mole. She knew also when he told her that he had evidence that he could sell her out with, that she couldn't let him really be a witness. So she had to get him arrested. She had to get him in custody. She had to let Ghost's lawyer know, yes, he's in custody, this is where he is, so that Ghost would kill him. She knew what she was doing, so she inadvertently killed Sandoval herself. And that's how the fucking episode went off. It was a really great episode. Really, really, really good. A lot happened, which is why this review was long as fuck. But, I can't wait for the next episode to see what's going to happen next. I'm tired, so I'm going to bed. But I hope you enjoyed. Please throw your comments at the bottom. Share, like. And, of course, I will see you guys next time. I am Jay Lee, and this is Jay Lee's Corner. Peace.